It takes 3 pitches to strike out in life, but it takes 1 pitch to hit a home run. Everything you want is on the other side of nervous. And the faster you confront that thing that's making you nervous, the faster you can get beyond it. Hooked up with the president of a neuroscience institute. And I said, man, I need you to test me. So he looks at the data. He looks at me. He looks at the data. He said, I've given 20,000 brain scans. I've done this for 30 years. I've never seen somebody be able to manipulate the brainwaves like you just did. What did you do?
Welcome to the Evolving Potential Podcast. This is episode number 34. Today I have on the show Jake Bolig. Jake is the founder of Hyflos, a global platform helping athletes master hypervisualization. He's a neuroperformance scientist that uses mental skills as well as QEEG brainwaves scans to help teach athletes how to get in the zone or flow state on demand. Experiencing both a major slump during his college baseball days at Oklahoma State University, as well as a 3-home run game, he has seen both sides of performance. Jake has a fresh angle on the zone that many athletes are not explained. His methods make the zone a measurable state athletes learn to replicate. Jake has taught his frameworks to high school, college, professional, and world champion athletes and organizations, so I can't wait to hear about it today. Thanks for being here, Jake.
Todd, thank you for the introduction, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll fill in some blanks along the way. You know, I like to start off first, thank you, but I wanted to say there's probably somebody that's going to listen to this and they're maybe looking for some motivation, some inspiration. Maybe they're a little bit down. And I was thinking yesterday, you said baseball, and it kind of struck this in my mind that it takes 3 pitches to strike out in life, but it takes 1 pitch to hit a home run. So you're not that far away. You were talking about baseball right there, and I thought of that yesterday. So wherever you're at in life, just remember that it takes 3 to strike out, but you can hit a home run in 1 pitch. And so you just stay after it, and you never know what's going to happen. But thanks so much for having me today, Todd. I've been doing some research on you. I love what you're doing, and you're helping a lot of people, and I'm excited to be here.
Hey, thank you for being here, man. So first and foremost, I'm curious. We'll get right into it for the athletes and for the guests. What is hypervisualization?
Oh man, it's the next thing. It's the missing piece is what it is. It's something that was created. It was discovered. I discovered it based out of my need to catch up with AI. That's how I discovered it. Maybe a year and a half ago, trying to catch up with all the things going on in culture and in technology and just for business sense, I was really diving into my brain, looking for something. I'm a thinker. I've written several books, and that's just kind of how I do it. And I started doing these techniques, and it stems from my sports career. And I started messing with the mind. And I was at the beach, and I was doing these different kind of really weird things. And if you saw me, you'd have been like, this guy's might be a little bit out there. Let's leave this guy alone, because that's the kind of zone I was in. And I remember working on these mind techniques, and we can get into that more later, but I was working on these, and I said, whoa, I had a moment. And I said, what is that? It just had, you had an aha moment in your life. You come across something, an idea or a new design or maybe a business idea or something like, wait a second, what is that? And banking on my sports career, I played until I was 24, 25, and I'll back up into that here in a minute. But I said, I have never learned this. I still have a lot of athlete friends. I've never read it. I've never learned it. I'm a studier. I'm a student. What is this thing? And so it became an absolute passion of mine to share it with people. So that's what it is. And it's evolved from there. And to finish off that story, I came to Arizona here in Scottsdale, and I hooked up with the president of a neuroscience institute. And I said, man, I got something. I need you to test me. Okay. I said, I just need you to test me 3 different ways. Let's hook my brain up to some different, all your little pieces of equipment. I didn't know what any of that stuff was at the time. I said, just hook me up. I'm going to do 3 tests. And I did. The first test was just a baseline. Let's see what your brain waves are doing. Okay. It's called QEEG. It's quantitative. We'll get into that here in a minute too. But For the sake of the story, I want to say on point. I said, hook me up. So he hooks me up to the first one. We do a baseline study. Okay, no big deal. Second one, I do a standard visualization that athletes do, that business people do, that anybody that knows visualization would do. Visualizing yourself doing an act, visualizing yourself accomplishing a goal. Baseline. Okay, we got this thing. And I said, okay, now hook me up. Now pay close attention. That's what I told him. Pay close attention. Let's do number 3. And so I do number 3 and I get into this thing. And he looks at me funny. I get done. It's 2 minutes long. He looks at me funny. He says, "Dude, you look like you're working out or something." And I was like, what does the data say? I know it's good in my head. I know I'm onto something, but science is important. You got to prove it, right? So he looks at the data. He looks at me. He looks at the data. Looks at me. Looks at the data. He said, "I've given 20,000 brain scans. I've done this for 30 years. I've never seen somebody be able to manipulate the brainwaves like you just did. What did you do?" And I said, "I'm not telling you. And thank you for the service." And so I paid the guy a couple $100 for the service, and I walked out, and I knew I had something. So it's a simple exercise, and we train people on it now. And then once you understand it, once you have it, it takes about an hour to learn. It takes several weeks to master. Probably you can get results in an hour, and once you have it, you got it. You can get results in 30 seconds. So I do it like
Wow.
before the show right here. I do it right before the show. Lock in, and you're just locked in. You find the brainwave state of the zone, and it's pretty cool.
So this is like a random epiphany you had while you were meditating on the beach. Is it something that was based on your readings, or how do you feel like you kind of got to this place?
Yeah, great question. No, random is a tough word because it's stacked on the years and years and years of all the experience and doing the different studies and putting myself in different difficult situations, right? And it feels random at the moment, but just like in life, things happen. They feel coincidental, but they're normally stacked on some kind of acts, right? In the moment, it felt like that, though. It felt like you're digging in a vein of gold and you're looking for something else. Like you're digging in a copper mine and then you come across a gold vein.
Mm.
Because I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for something else. I was looking to retrain my brain, the techniques I know to rewire my brain. And I said, "Oh, what is this shiny gold thing right here? That was different." So then I took it to like you have to get it backed by science. Then I took it to some top level, I can't tell you the names, top level organizations that are world known brands that if I said their name, everybody in the world would know the brands, top level professional organizations. And I said, "Have you guys tell me what your protocol is? Tell me what your programs are," because the highest level athletes, they have normally a little bit of access to different tools, right?
Yep.
He said, "Man," he said, "we don't have that either." He said, "Let's get you in. Let's talk to our neuroscience team, this and that." And so here we go. So it's really cool.
Wow. So are you willing to describe the difference between a regular visualization and this hypervisualization? He said that you seemed like you were working out or something. Is there like a physical routine that goes along with it, or did he mean like you were kind of strenuously like you putting yourself through something?
Yeah, great. No, that's a great question. So now we'll get into the science a little bit. Well, when you use your brain, you use the visualization, activate your motor neurons, your neural pathways, you're growing yourself. We're electrical beings, right? We send signals to our hands, and I don't want to get too complex, but we send signals to our hands. I can make my hand move. That's
Mhm.
some kind of a signal that I'm sending to my hand, right? Well, a lot of studies have shown that the body doesn't really know the difference between actually physically doing the thing and visualizing the thing, right? But here's the thing. I need to do it. I got something for you. I don't know if we can do it right here or not. We could do it right here. It would blow your mind, but it's a little exercise. So one thing that I realized throughout my entire career was this. I've done the visualizations. I got introduced to visualizations when I was 18 uh, by my coach in junior college, Perry Keith, who's the winningest baseball coach in baseball. He's the winningest active coach in baseball. He's number 3 on the all-time winningest baseball coaches list, right? Great coach. Um, Fantastic coach. And he introduced us to visualization cassette tapes
Oh, nice.
when, just to age me a little bit, cassette tapes that you could, like the old school tapes. And I remember the first time putting it in, I was putting it into the tape player, I was like levitating. It felt like, because this is the first time understanding visualization, and and then I knew that I had something that I got really inspired by the visualization. So with visualization, I can't remember the question. The question was the difference between hyper and
Yep.
visualization, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
yeah. So that was regular visualization. Watch the ball. I was a baseball guy, so watch the ball come in. You hit the ball. Oh wow! And had all these noises. Pow! All these visualization noises, right? Pow! Line drive. Pow! Opposite field. So that's how I learned to visualize. Most players learn some form of that type of visualization. Business people as well. And here's the difference: when you're taught visualization, you're never taught hypervisualization. Okay, you always visualize. And I'll say this: I've done this test with hundreds, maybe thousands of people now. Every single person is the same, from the highest level athlete to the high school kid. Every single person visualizes in about the same speed. You visualize based on how your mind's conditioned. Okay, so if you're visualizing, let me see, I'll use this. You're a drummer, right?
Yep.
I read up on it. So if you
Yep.
visualize yourself drumming, you visualize a song. You're going to visualize yourself in about the speed of the song, about the speed of the tempo, right?
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever visualized yourself going 10x speed that you could ever possibly do physically?
No, I can't say I have. No.
No, right? Nobody has, because we're not taught that way. So what we could do, so what we found is through hypervisualization, which is the protocols we teach, the very simple protocols, we speed everything up. So when you speed your
Mm.
brain up, speed your mind up. So in real time, it slows down. So here's the big thing that I push back against, and this everybody in the industry would push back against this on me right now, but I 100% believe it by the data. We try to slow down in a competition. We say you want things to slow down. You've heard that thing: slow competition down, slow things down,
Yeah.
right?
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Yeah.
So yeah, and there's some
Mm.
truth to that too,
Yeah.
right? But as far as my mind, I don't want to slow things down. I want to go fast. So when I'm in a game situation, my perception is that everybody else is slower.
Mm.
The
Yep.
speed is just perception. So if I'm tuned in to, for baseball, for an example, 150-mile-an-hour fastball, if that's where my mind is tuned in, I can't physically hit that physically.
Yeah.
But that 150, now 90 doesn't look so fast.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we use, and that's what I mean by hypervisualization. So we speed things way up, so things slow down, and I don't know if that paints the picture for you or not, or that answers the question. So we base on that type of technology, and then once you know those protocols, hypervisualization leads to
Mm.
hyperfocus, and so I can hyperfocus right now because I know how to speed my brain up. And a lot of people say slow down, and there's a lot of data that supports slow down. Military, high level people that slow things down. I get it, but a lot of times in a nervous situation, it's hard to slow your. It's hard to slow down.
Yep.
It's just physically hard. Like when you're nervous or something like that, it's hard. You have to get into it. And what normally slows it down, when you get into the action, then you can get it pace, right? Like
Yep.
before you get real nervous, and then once you get into the action, you start to calm down a little bit, right? Like once you're in
Absolutely.
it. So why don't I get into the action beforehand, and why don't I do it in a hyper visualization state? So we can get, that's what it's based on, though.
No, I like that a lot. So, is this something that you said you learned it originally on the beach? That was just your epiphany. Did you learn this at all back when you were playing college baseball? I know you had mentioned like having a slump and then kind of coming through and having a record performance. Was there something you used at that time that was different?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've never heard this. The stuff that we do at Hyflos now has never been taught. I've taught. If it's been taught, it's been taught by some guy in a jungle in Zimbabwe or something. Because
Never
nobody
heard of that.
nobody I know has heard of this or knows it. And fortunately, we have the data to support it. And because a lot of people push back, I said, no, I got the data. I got the brainwave data. But in no back then, let me tell you my story. So back then, I grew up a sports guy. I grew up from the age of 5 being a sports guy. Um, I thought I was going to be in sports. I'd never thought of a life outside of sports really, until it was put into my face when I was 23, 24, and I realized I'm not going to make any money doing this. So I grew up a sports guy. I grew up in a small town. I moved all over the place, um, but sports was my life, and I did terrible in school. I mean, I was a C student just because I was smart enough to do. I literally did not care. I had a pillow in my first hour in high school, and my science teacher would let me sleep on my pillow as long as I was playing good football. That's the best. Like, you can sleep there. It's like you play good football. So that was my life. Fast forwarding here, moving through junior college and then I was a first team All-American in junior college. I went to Oklahoma State with big aspirations of making some real money. My junior year, I break my hand. I break a hamate bone in my hand in the first series, lose all my power. And I was a hitter. That's what I was. That's what I could do well. Lose all my power. Come back for my senior year, and I got like one chance. I'm already blown real chances to make money because anybody that knows baseball, like your senior year is not back then. The opportunity you didn't have any leverage. So the opportunity to earn as much money wasn't there, but you still got to play good. So I go into my senior year. I'm a top 100 prospect, hitting cleaner for Oklahoma State. Like I could play a little bit. I wasn't the best top 10. I wasn't that guy, but I was all right. So I go into the season, start with this high expectation, start the season great. And then I just go into a slump. I forgot how to hit. Like I literally forgot how to hit. And it got so bad where I worked myself off the active roster. I went 4 for 52, which 4 for 52 is unbelievable in college baseball. When you go from a top 100 prospect, 4-hole for Oklahoma State to, I literally forgot how to hit and worked myself off the roster. When I say work myself off the roster, it means I couldn't even travel with the team because there's so many certain number of roster spots, and they have to take people that they think might have the chance to play and they might need to play.
Mm-hmm.
I was so bad I couldn't even get on that.
Jeez.
It's a different level. But I never stopped working. And one day we're going to Missouri, and I had worked myself back onto the active roster at this point I never stopped working. I just literally forgot how to hit. It's all right
Mm-hmm.
here. And on the bus, something clicked. I don't know what it was. And I said, huh. And I'm on the bus visualizing, right? I'm like, huh, I was left-handed hitter. Something felt good. And then we got the batting practice, and just something felt different. And just everything, my mind's like, I lined everything up and took one swing. I was like, oh shoot, what is that? What is that? Kind of people looking around. I took another swing, hit another ball. Kind of people are like looking around like, oh, what's going on here? And I was thinking that too, like, what's going on here? And whack, whack, couple more hits, couple more swings, and I had it back. And my coach, Tom Holliday, who's a legacy baseball family, he's got a son, Josh Holliday, who's the head coach at Oklahoma State. He has a boy, Matt Holliday, who was a over 10-year major league player, and Matt Holliday's boys, they both went in the first round. Baseball family, and thanks to his insight, he put me in the game that day. I tied a school record that day. I hit 3 home runs, and I got it back. And it was like,
Jeez.
and from that point on, I became obsessed with the mind. I was 22, and I said, what was that? And that's how everything started. And it's kind of a long story how my passion, my obsession with understanding the mind started. Yeah.
I love that. Like looking back now in hindsight, do you feel like you really have much insight into what happened there?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of insight. I put I put added pressure on myself. I put ridiculous pressure on myself.
Mm.
And so, I mean, if I could go back and tell that kid something, I would tell him a lot of things. But that was the main catalyst that started the progress. And I was just not. I was a mental midget, is what we used to say. It's probably not correct to say now, but that's what we used to say. Is I thought I was something I wasn't, and my mind wasn't strong enough to work through the small little slump. And so now, that maybe made me obsessed with it. So.
Jeez. Was there anything specific about your visualizations that one day that really kind of broke you out of that slump?
I mean, specifically, technically, sure. Yeah, I mean, just the placement, how I was visualizing how I was placing the bat. And I was just visualizing differently I mean, to get real technical specific, that I mean, probably don't want to do that, but I was visualizing before out in front, and as a hitter, I wasn't technically visualizing correctly, and so it was a catalyst for all my mechanics being wrong. So what I was visualizing, I was a power guy, so I was trying to hit 20 home runs before I hit five, and
Mm.
so I was overextending myself, and so my visualizations were putting me in a bad mind, putting me in a bad physical state, a biomechanical uh, balance. I didn't have any biomechanical balance in that state. So yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
So I'm super curious about this thing. So now the way that you've described this hypervisualization sounds very similar to what I've heard about the subconscious mind and what it does while we're sleeping. It's like we're going through 100 times of something. We're going through it at some sort of hyper speed, because our subconscious mind processes just so much faster than our conscious mind. So is there anything that you really feel like kind of gave you this realization that, like, okay, if I do everything faster, then in real life it'll seem slower, or was that just something you gave it a shot one time? And again, I know you've done a lot of reading and stuff, so I'm kind of curious how you come to this place of I'm going to speed everything up so that it seems slower in real life.
I'm telling you, that was an accident. Like, to speed it up was an accident. But so let's get back to what you said about the sleeping brain state for a second, right? What's something that happens at the age of 5 to almost every single person in America?
um,
Go to
I don't know.
school.
I mean, you're okay. Yeah, you start going to school. Yeah.
You go to school. And so what I've also found with this technology and with these studies is that about the age of 5, if I take the same, if I take these same basic exercises and warm ups that I give to athletes, that I give to people for Hyflos, if I take them, I give them to a 5 year old, they're the only people they're the best.
Mm.
A 4 or 5 year old are the best performers in the initial phases of these exercises I give them. And to your point of sleeping and your brain going fast, your mind, your subconscious moving fast in sleep, the main problem is that our conditioning. So we're conditioned to sit down, conditioned to raise our hand, we're conditioned to ask before we do, right? We're conditioned to believe in limitations. We're conditioned to believe all these things that we see, and so that's the main problem. So with hyper visualization, it takes away a lot of that conditioning because it moves so fast. So let me give you an example. So have you ever gone on a highway and you get stuck in the on ramp and traffic is flying by you, and maybe there's a car stuck in the on ramp, and so you have to come to a complete stop in the on
Yeah.
ramp?
Yeah.
Okay, so traffic is flying by, right? To get and it appears to be really fast. The perspective, the your perceived speed of those cars is extremely fast. So
Mm.
what's the best way? How do you get onto that highway? Do you just ease in, or do you look for a spot and you kind of got to get on the gas a little bit?
Yeah. You gotta gun it and get in there.
You got to gonna get in there, right? So by doing that, you're getting up to speed quickly. You're not easing into it, and you really have to trust your instincts when you get onto the on ramp. You have to get in. You're hyper focused in that state. So that's what we try to do with the hyper visualization, is to get people outside of their own conditioning. Okay, that's going to get you
Mhm.
outside of your own conditioning because you're going so fast. So there's about 4 or 5 really cool benefits of it, and I'll be happy to actually, since you're in Arizona, I'll be happy to meet up with you and share it all with you. It'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm curious now. You have these 7 laws that you don't want to break, right? So that you can
yeah.
stay in flow state. You
Mhm.
mind expanding upon those? What are
No, I don't
people
mind.
doing wrong
I don't
and
mind.
getting themselves out of flow state, or is the zone, as you probably would say it more? I,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
There's
say
zone.
flow
Yeah,
state a lot more.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not trying to be coy with the high flow with high flows, with the actual techniques of how to do it. I'm not trying to be coy, but some things have to be done like in person or a part of the protocol to really understand it and go through the training. But I'd be happy to even go through the training with you on right now if you wanted to. But as far as the 7 laws, yeah, I say it's the sinners. I say check your sinners, and I made an acronym called sinners for
Mm.
this, and it's the 7 laws, the 7 laws that we found that must never be broken if you want to stay in the zone. Okay. If you want to give yourself, no, no, not stay in the zone, give yourself a chance to play in the zone.
Mm.
Okay. One, you have to have a clear goal. Clear goal. 2, you have to be engaged in that goal. Okay. And we'll break these down. 3, you got to be neutral, a neutral mind state. 4, it's got to be something that you're kind of tested in. You got to be egoless. It has to be a responsive situation where you get pretty close to immediate feedback, and you got to be self-driven. Okay. So what does that mean? What's the easy way to understand that? Focus on the process.
Mm.
Okay. So clear goal. What's the goal? Engaged in the goal. Is the goal important? Am I focused on that goal? Am I chasing two different goals at the same time? Okay. If I have two different objectives at the same time. Now, I'm not saying you can't play good or you can't perform good with two different objectives. I'm saying the zone is singularly focused that we found in the brainwave data. Okay.
Yep.
Neutral means it just means a neutral emotional state where you're not angry um, to playing consistently playing the zone. For example, not angry, etc. Tested is just something that's slightly more than your average. It's slightly more than sitting on a couch. It just means you're doing something important. You're doing some kind of a task. It's very basic and simple.
Yep.
Okay. Egoless is that you have to be doing it for you. Like you can't be worried about what the fans think. You can't be worried about what your parents think. You can't be worried about what your friends think. Um, you
If
can't
you're
be
gonna
worried about what the
win,
coach thinks. What's that?
if you're gonna win,
You can't be worried about any of that.
yep.
Now, those are all important, and you can still play good. There's still people who still play great. There's some people that are just naturally talented. They play great, but you're not going to be in the brain. You're not going to be in the zone brain state. What was the other one? Responsive. You have to have immediate feedback. So you can't play in the zone now for something that's going to happen 2 years from now. What was the last one? Self-driven, and then
Yep.
you gotta want to do it for yourself. And there might be contracts tied to it. There might be uh, rewards. There might be a girl at the end of it. Who knows that you're trying to impress, right? But in that singular moment, it has to be self-driven, as in you want to get it done because it needs to be done. And I believe that's the seventh one. Yeah. So I say
Mm.
check your centers because a lot of coaches will give a advice. They'll say stay balanced, don't think, things like that. And it's not practical advice. So we want to give practical advice that people can actually check and monitor.
Mm. So when you go into like a team organization or even just a single session with somebody, are you kind of more so teaching these concepts as in verbally, explaining these things, or is it more like I'm taking you through a specific process? What's it look like to
Yeah.
actually do this work?
We'll go through a specific process. And if we're in person, we're with the machines, then we'll hook up to the machines and I can show
Mm.
you how you can manipulate your brainwaves quickly. And that's science that's been around for a while. That's technology that's been around for a while to see how you can move your brainwaves. But it's
Yeah.
cool to show them how quickly you can move them and how you can put yourself in different brain states once you know the protocols and the movements to it.
So I
So
would assume, is it more like getting someone out of the beta and into like an alpha theta kind of place?
sure. Yep. There's a lot of that. That's a big proponent of it. That is the central focus of it. But it's to get it to as fast as possible because we like to do it with hyper focus, hyper visualization, as opposed to other techniques, there's other techniques that work, but uh, you know, breath work, imagine
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
extremely heavy, your body's heavy, stuff like that. But we're going to take them through hyper visualization and hyper focus.
And so, what do you feel like is the biggest things that maybe are not being taught on a simplistic, thought pattern for coaches that are coaching now? Like, let's say that you became a coach now and you wanted to be able to help athletes right now to figure this stuff out, like the stuff that you didn't learn in college. Like, if you could go back and be a coach, what kind of things would you be telling them and teaching them and making sure are part of the baseball curriculum?
Well, one big thing I would teach them right from the bat is when we're talking specifically about the zone or being in the right mindset is when coaches say, "Don't think, just act. Don't think, just play." That's something that coaches say quite a bit. Don't think, just
Hmm.
play, which is just impossible. So I don't like to give advice that's not actually realistic advice, tangible advice that's practical. That's one thing. So everybody thinks all the time. It's just how it is. You're thinking is DNA wired into our body. How we act to it, that's something else, right? Um, that's one. That's one thing that I harp on is just giving practical advice. Another thing is patience. When people say be patient, Patience is needed in sports. You're growing, you're developing, you're getting better, you're evolving, right? But I don't agree with that either. When people say be patient, I don't think that's good advice. Patience is a tool that needs to be used. So I think kids need to know, hey, patience is a tool. I'm going to use patient. You don't have to be a patient person. Like there's moments where I need to be patient, where I need to use patience, excuse me. And sometimes that's 7 seconds, sometimes that's 2 years. And
Mm.
you have to determine when you need to use that tool and how long you need to use that tool. I think it's very important. Uh, just a couple of pieces of advice right there. And then I would definitely go through the seven, the 7 laws that must never be broken. I would let every athlete know this. It's very important.
I like that a lot. I want to focus on the ego list one for a minute because let's say that you're in high school or in college and there is a lot of external factors that are driving you. Like, okay, I don't want to piss off coach. My parents are watching. My contract's on the line. How do you? What are your advices or what do you teach people to try to break out of that ego list? To get to a place of being egoless, I guess.
Well, I think you got to confront it. Whatever is making you nervous or whatever's getting involved in your ego, I think you have to confront it. And I'll tell you a story here. When I was 39, let me see, when I was 39. Yeah, when I was 39, I sold everything. I moved to Europe,
Oh,
and I had a great gig. I was pulling down top like 1% money. I was had a great setup. Everything was great, and but I wanted to grow. So part of growing was doing something that made me really uncomfortable. So we hear about that all the time, get uncomfortable. So I sold everything I had and I moved to Europe. And I had never even been to Europe before. I got my condo online. I found a
yeah.
condo online, did a contract online, and then I go to Europe. And then not only on top of that, I said, okay, how can I make it more difficult? And due to some different books and different things I like to read, Thomas Edison, I'm a big Thomas Edison fan. So he used to say that he couldn't hear very well and it helped him concentrate. So I've been into sensory deprivation for performance for a long time. And so I'm
Mm.
moving to, and it was in the back of my mind, I'm moving to Europe and I'm like, well, this is the first time I'm going to move to a new country for the first time. Like I'm going to go there, but there's only one first time, right? I was like,
Yep.
how can I make it more difficult? So I said, if I didn't speak for the first 7 days that I moved to Europe in a country where I don't know the language and I try to integrate into the community and I do this communication experiment, that would be pretty hard. That would be pretty uncomfortable. And so that's what I did. So I moved to Portugal, and from the time I got through customs, I was like, I'll start once I get through customs. I want to make sure that I get my passport, and if there's any problems, then I'll start.
Yeah.
So I get through customs, and I stopped talking. And it was the most wild experiment because almost immediately I get an Uber car. I order an Uber. This is 2019. Order an Uber, and the guy comes out. I'm standing there with my bags. He walks around the car. He says, "Hey, how are you?" He knows I'm American. He can tell I'm American or something. He says, "Hi," and I don't say anything.
Oh,
I just look at him, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, I got to come up with some kind of gesture that like shows that I'm like whatever. I'm a
not
human.
asshole or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I look like an asshole here.
Yeah.
And so I get in the car, and he starts talking to me, and I wrote on this piece of paper. I I can't speak, but I can hear. I wrote that in
Mm.
English and I showed it to him. And it was this weird interaction, but I had to think of something. So he wasn't like, is this guy gonna try to kill me or what's this guy doing,
Yeah.
right? I had to like communicate somehow. But I was committed to my program. I was like, I'm not speaking for 7 days. And I show it to him and he stops talking. It's the most awkward 10-minute ride to the train station I've ever like it's the most awkward ride ever.
Oh my god.
And so we get to the train station and I'm trying to find my train. I got to take a train like 4 hours to the south of Portugal here. And I've never been on a train in Europe. I've never even been to Europe before. And my heart, I'm trying not to miss the train. It's getting late and my heart is just beating like 1,000 miles an hour. I'm like the
Mm.
most nervous I've ever been because but I'm not going to speak. Like I'll sleep in this freaking train station before I speak. That's how committed I was to this plan here. And so my heart's beating like crazy. And it's really interesting. A guy helped me, and all these people were nice. And And I have a book about the experiment, and it is coming out soon. But that's so I won't
Nice.
get too deep into it. But the thing I want to share with you is that the first day my heart was like I had to be 150 beats a minute. Like it was a lot. And by day 3, like my heart started to slow down. And then by day 7, the 7th day with not speaking, I was completely normal. I had developed ways to communicate with people that didn't include me talking. I had to remind myself on day 8 that I could talk. That's how fast my body became accustomed to that 7 days of silence. That's how fast I acclimated to it. Right.
Jeez.
So based off of that, I wrote this little booklet called Go Find Nervous.
Nice.
Because after that, I said, everything you want is on the other side of nervous. And the faster you confront that thing that's making you nervous, the faster you can get beyond it. So whatever it is, there's always something that's making us nervous at anything. Talking to the person, talking to the CEO, talking to the coach, having a tough conversation with the girlfriend, having a tough conversation with the parents. And to your point, that ego, have that conversation. If you can have the conversation that says, hey, I understand that there's a lot of pressure on me, but I'm doing this for me. Okay. If you can confront those things, then you can handle them. But if you don't confront them, if you don't go find nervous, then you're always going to be in your ego in a sports environment, at least, because you're
Yeah.
trying to impress way too many people. So that's what I say is you gotta handle it.
Oh, that's so now sports psychology and performance psychology is somewhat newer, becoming more popular now. So back then, did you have anyone who really kind of could tell you, hey, confront you said mental midget,
Yeah, that's what
was
we
there
called
anybody
it
at the
now. It's
time
probably
that
like PC
was there
nowadays,
anyone at the
but
time calling you out for that, being like, hey, like you've got this thing going on, this might be why you're having a slump, or was that just kind of, like it wasn't a part of the training regimen?
no, it wasn't a part of it back then, man. Wasn't a part. We didn't we didn't have. I'm trying to think. A sports psychologist absolutely wasn't a part of it. You know, that we had none of that. So these kids nowadays, and not just kids, myself, you, all this technology and all this information that's available, it's a real blessing. Back then, we just try to work it out, and I mean, we did a lot of things to work it out. I mean, there was alcohol involved. I tried to work it out with alcohol a little bit back then. You try to do everything. You try to. I mean, back then I shaved my head. Now I don't have a choice. But you know, so you would just try to work it out, swing, practice too much, and that's why I love Hyflos. That's why I love the hypervisualization, because here's one thing. Here's a perfect example of how somebody could use this in that time. Here's one thing I would go tell that kid. So what I would do, I would swing a lot, and I would practice a lot because I'm trying to get the feeling back.
Hmm.
Right? I'm trying to get into that state. I'm trying to get that feeling back. So what would happen is I would practice a lot, and I would be tired the next day. So my hands would be a little bit tired because I swung maybe 50 extra swings full out.
Yep.
So then the next day I come back to the game, and now I'm a little bit tired, so I'm not in optimal physical condition. And in this situation, I could use my visualization. So instead of visualizing 100 swings in my head, for example, right? I could visualize 5,000 swings in my head
Mm.
once I understand how to release the governor, how to release the constrictions, right? How to release the conditioning. I can get 5,000 in my head, and I can
Jeez.
go back. You see what I mean? And
Yeah,
now
no,
I
I
can go
like
back
that.
the next day, and I'm not tired. My body's physically not tired, but I've grooved that in my head.
No, I like that a
So
lot. Yeah, I can
yeah,
imagine the difference between, you know, just in real time, imagining a pitch coming at you. Imagine, you hitting the pitch, someone fields or whatever, you get a home run, line drive through the gap, whatever. Then you kind of replay it, do it again. Like obviously that's that. Yes, it's slow now in comparison to thinking about like, you know, speeding that up and then getting more and more and more and more reps in. Like I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah. And you could do it with practice. You can do it without messing up your mechanics. So a lot of times, if we're thinking faster than we're accustomed to thinking, it feels extremely disorganized in our minds. But with practice, like anything else, you got to practice, and that's why we offer the protocols and we offer the trainings, because it's like learning the drums. Yeah, I can go beat on some things right now, and but I'm gonna have to practice to make it sound like you can make it sound,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I can learn. Oh wait, I need two sticks and something that makes a noise. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, that's hypervisualization. Think fast. Okay, two sticks, make some noise. No, no, no. That's what it is. But now we got how do we apply it properly so we can master it and use it real time when we need to use it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked about ego a little bit. I'm curious about overthinking specifically. If you have any sort of advice or experience, personal experience with overthinking, like someone just shooting a bad shot, missing something, and now they're going through this inner dialogue that's just not helping them at all. I mean, I know visualization can help kind of create that confidence, but I'm curious if they have any sort of specifics on overcoming that overthinking.
Yeah, sure. Well, the only way you can overthink is if you're focused on external things. Like you overthink internally, but you thinking internally, but you're thinking about external things. You're thinking about being judged. You're thinking about you look silly. You're thinking about I'm not going to make any more money. You're thinking about something external. Because why else would you care?
Yeah,
When we were cavemen running around, we didn't care. Like, yeah, if we didn't eat, yeah, there wasn't Sigmund Freud wasn't talking to caveman Joe being like, tell me about your feelings about this, how you missed that deer with your arrow. No, he was like, let me go get another deer. Right. It
yeah,
wasn't like there wasn't any of that stuff. So yeah, overthink is I'm a big overthinker. I mean, in the terms of what you're talking about, I'm an introverted, extroverted guy. So I'm a reader, I'm a thinker, and overthinking is a term used, in my opinion, to where you're just not focused on the process. So it's a good tool and it's a good trigger. If you're in your head too much, then it's a good tool and mechanism to know, hey, I'm not focused on the process.
mm,
Right? So we can use it as a tool. If I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Whoa. I can't think about what am I doing and focus on the task at the same time. Remember, we have to be engaged, not on two things, one thing. Right? So worry about it later. Debrief later. Deconstruct the situation later. I think it's good to debrief and think about what happened, review the game, review the play, review the business deal, review the conversation, just a basic conversation, maybe a relationship, a friend. Yeah, review it, but let's focus on the process right now. And so that's a good telltale sign that says, hey, let me get back in line. And that's why we like the 7 laws. It's because they're this. The most successful people in success. We can talk about success too. What I think about that. It's a
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
misused. It's a misused term in my opinion. But like the most successful in any realm. Man, I talk about success. I just lost my train of thought.
That's good. I was actually going to ask you anyway. Some of the people and some of the things you've experienced that have allowed you to determine what it is that makes people successful. So go ahead. Yeah, if you think that that's a misnomer or something, let's get into it.
Yeah, I should have finished the thought. You know what? I'll finish this thought on your Instagram page. So when everybody watches this, I'm gonna go back and finish the thought I just had. Right now, we're gonna talk about success. So, uh, no, success is that is, as far as success goes, I think it's a product of society, and I think a lot of kids, unfortunately, are misguided on what success really is. And I think most people pick their success based on something that's not internal. I think that most people do that, and it's quite sad, really. If you go through all life and you're like, man, I'm trying to play somebody else's game. So success to me, I've distilled success to me down to this simple statement: success is the ability to say no. That's what it is. That's what it is. So whatever that means. So in sports, for example, somebody that would say a success is somebody that has high numbers, maybe MVP or something, MVP type numbers, right? That would be a success. That's what society would say success. Well, maybe if that's what it's going for, but it should be individual to what they want. And so I think that if I could say no in a situation, whatever that situation is, then I'm a success. No, I don't want to write the book. No. Oh, shout out to our boy Kevin Mohat too, by the way.
Yeah, I
That
know,
put us
100%,
together.
100%. You did the forward for his book. Dude had a near-death experience, wrote a book about it, connected us together. Like, very, very awesome dude.
Yeah. So that's how that situation got started. Was me saying no. As an example of a story, me saying no because we got together. because I've written several books, and he wanted to talk to me about writing the book. And I knew that Kevin is, if you talk to him, he's so vibrant. He's a great storyteller, and he was telling me the story, and we sat and talked to him for like 3 hours, and I went, and he wanted me to write it, and I went up to Sedona and walked around and prayed and meditated, and I know I can write this book, but I said, man, I'm not the guy to write the book. And it was tough because if you know Kevin, Kevin is a guy that has some stories, and that guy is I mean, he's older than me. I have a lot of respect for him, and can be an intimidating guy to tell somebody like, "Hey, man, I think you should do this." But I knew it was the right thing, so I went back to him and I said, "Hey, I got bad news and good news. I'm not going to write your book, and I know who is." And I said, "You're going to write your book," and it was a great moment. And he put out a great book, and I was so thankful to be able to write the forward for him and be asked to write the forward for him. But that was an example of saying no. Like, he asked me to do it, and I knew it was the right thing. So that was an absolute success for me. I didn't do anything. I just guided him. Complete success. I said no to a situation I believed in, and the perfect person completed the project. Right. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
Do you mind? I'm very curious how your work could translate into the forward of his book, being on mostly his near death experience. What was a brief synopsis of kind of what you put into that forward?
Well, the forward was based on Kevin basically because I think he's a fantastic human, and I mean, he's been a friend for I consider him my friend, and going through that process, we learned a lot about each other, and I have a lot of stories and life experiences as well, and so we really connected on that, and he's really grateful to me, and I'm grateful to him, and it was just it was like a brotherhood thing, and he asked me to do it, and I just wanted to write what I felt about it and write that, and this is a solid guy and a solid story, and I think everybody should read it. So that's what that. So there wasn't really anything based on Hyflos or anything
Makes
based
sense.
on my experiences. It was one friend to another. So
And how was it for you writing? You said you've written a few books now. How did you get into that? And then what's that experience been like for you?
I think it's I think it's the best. I think everybody should write a book if you want to, because it's a lot harder than it seems. I haven't published a book in, it's been a few years. I got a couple books written. This a story I told you earlier about the trip to Europe. I got that written. We got to get it published. But I think I've published maybe almost 20. There's
Jeez.
almost 20 out there or something like that. But it was all between books and journals and that type of thing. I think I think you should just attack what what drives you. Like, I think if you're curious about something, go look for it, go hunt it down, and go do it. Right? Like, we have all these rules, and we have this one short life. And so for me, I just wanted to write books. I always read books, so I always wanted to write books, and that was me. And sometimes you can tell the bad ones, because the bad ones I was externally focused. The bad ones I was breaking the laws, the seven laws that we talk about,
Mm,
right? And I've done that. I've written books because I thought somebody's going to think they were cool, right?
yeah.
I know these laws because I broke them all. I'm 46. I mean, like, I've broken a lot of these laws a lot of these times, and I've had the successes and I've had the failures. And people say, it's just a learning lesson. Yeah, it's just a learning lesson. I've had a lot of learning lessons, and I've had a lot of successes. And so what I've learned is that, man, we have so much to offer, and but make sure that it's what you want to offer. You know,
Mm.
just
So
make sure it's
having
what you
having
want.
written now like 20 books, what and you just said it perfectly. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, when we only have one life. Let's say that you are no longer here. God willing. That. What do you want to be known for? What do you wish that is left behind in your name?
Man, what's interesting is I don't think like that anymore. I don't think like that. I don't think like, what am I be known for? I really think, how can I, I've had this thing on my phone for like 10 years, and I recently took it off. And the thing on my phone said, live a life that someone would pay 50,000 to read about. or hear about. Right. That's what it was on my phone. It's my screensaver for like 10 years. Live a life that somebody paid 50,000 to hear about. Like that's what and that's how I based a lot of my decisions. So I've had a lot of these crazy stories. Like I've learned a lot of languages, and I traveled, and I've done like ridiculously stupid things, like quit your job and move to Europe and not speak. That's ridiculously stupid. And when I moved to Arizona, I knew nobody. I knew one person, my boy Zach Cates, who we started a podcast called Dick Pin Podcast, and I played baseball with him. I moved to Arizona, started a business, and we did, I don't know, like 10 million in like 2 years, and from nothing. Like it was so stupid to even come out here and do that. But once again, go fight nervous. And so it's so I can't remember the question that you asked me, but it's
Yeah, I was just
it's
curious what like, having all that, having all these things that you're teaching to athletes, and then having all these things that you believe in, and having all these books that you've written, what would you really want to be known for?
oh, that's right, that's right. So to all that, I don't think I don't think it matters. Like and I'm very spiritual. I have a very close relationship with God. I'm very spiritual. And so when you talk to somebody like Kevin and he tells you this story that how he died and he was dead for 20 minutes. Like if anybody, it's called Not Yet, Tomorrow Just Begun or something like that. I think that's the name of the book. Tomorrow's Just Begun. I believe that's the name. Hopefully I didn't get it wrong. And he tells you he was dead for 20 minutes and he was sitting in this peaceful place and he was looking down on this, on himself basically, in this after life experience. I don't know. I can't experience it. But when you hear stories like that, and then you live a bunch of life, and then you see people that are mega famous. You see somebody like Prince, or I mean, name whatever celebrity that dies, and then you don't hear about them for you hear about it for like a day, and there's nothing left. So as far as big goals that I want to leave a bunch of stuff, I want to do cool things that if people are inspired by those cool things, that's really cool. I like to help people. I think that's really cool. I love to listen to people, even though I'm talking this whole time, but I'm going to have you on a show and we'll have to like, I'll
This is
listen
what
to
I
you.
do. This is what I do. Yeah,
But so I like to
I like to
listen to
listen.
people. Yeah. I love the interactions and the relationships of just the human connection. And so I don't think much about legacy. People might look down on that, but that goes back to my point of choose what you want to do and handle it, and be comfortable with it and go get it. Like, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. And if it's somebody that you care about that's worth worrying about, then worry about it. But if not, then don't. So like in the context of sports, like if there's something that you're not very good at, go look ridiculously stupid at it. Go to practice and say, hey coach, I'm terrible at this. I'm going to look like an idiot, but that's okay, because I'm going to work through it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I got to figure this thing out. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to figure it out, and you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I look like an idiot for 2 years or whatever it took.
Yeah.
Here's just something I do. And I love languages, like I told. So what I'll do is I'll listen to a language without knowing anything about it. And I'll just listen to it because I'm trying to train my ear to understand it.
Yep.
And so for the last year, almost a year and a half now, I'm getting close to understanding it. I mean, I'm getting close on this language, but I would listen to Italian everywhere, like on my TV. That's what I listen to. And if you heard me, I'll be like, I have no idea what they're saying. I don't even know what they're saying, but I'm listening to it, and I can't understand. I can't speak with anybody. But over time, now it's been a year and a half. I'm almost there. Like I'm probably like 3 months away, and I'll be having full on Italian conversations.
Jeez.
But for that year, I looked ridiculous, but I didn't care. People are like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm just listening to Italian. You know what they're saying? I have no idea what they're saying, but I
That's
will.
so
Right?
that's so funny. It's so funny because when I was in high school, I took sign language actually, and we had a teacher who believed in what she called full immersion. And so we'd be in the class, and it's like day one, and she's like, no one talks in the class, we just sign. And she's up in the front signing stuff, and I'm like looking around the rest of the class. I'm like, no one knows what you're signing. She's like, shh, quiet. I'm like, but no one knows what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like it's taken me years to be like understood what she was really trying to do, and how I should have just gone with it, but I was just a troublemaker and was just like, this doesn't make any sense, and then you're describing a very sort of process. Like, it doesn't really matter if you're immersing yourself into it to the point of it just becomes normal, and you're starting to learn it by, that by proxy, if you will. And so I just think it's so funny for me being a high school student, 17 years old. I'm like, no one knows what you're saying. Why are you doing
Yeah.
that?
She knew, but we didn't know, right? You didn't
Yep,
know.
exactly,
That's funny.
exactly. She's like, "This is what you need to do." I'm like, "That doesn't make any sense."
Yeah.
That's huge.
And,
That's huge.
and
I
that's the
love that.
thing. And you make a great point there, Todd. So you got the Arizona dry throat. You make a great point. It's not going to make sense. Like if you're chasing something that you really want, it's not going to make sense to the majority of people. And it's not our job to make sure they're comfortable with our dreams, right? That's not my
Mhm.
job. I need to make sure anybody's comfortable with my dreams. So it's like ask the silly question. Oh man, this is gonna sound silly, but why are you signing? Why are you giving me sign language like that? Like, just ask the silly question. And I think that goes back to the conditioning, and it really goes to the hypervisualization that I talk about. Is because our minds are so conditioned, and that's why the hyper is such a valuable tool because it takes you outside of all that conditioning, and and if you can just go after what you want to go after, and that's the biggest thing I like to give to people. Is just go after what you want to go after, and if you can just remove the thought of the ego of because the ego, is worried about what somebody else thinks or how you look. Who cares, right? Who
100%.
cares?
100%. So
Yeah.
I'm curious.
No.
I'm curious how this might apply to. I know in sports psychology world, routines are really popular. So you mentioned
Sure.
the process. Obviously, I know that the high flows is a process. I'm curious as far as pre-game, during game, and post-game, how those might differ, or how you might be applying these for athletes to put those into the routine.
Sure. No. So I love that. We have an additional exercise too called hypo visualization, which is the
Mm.
singular hardest visualization exercise anybody could ever do. Hypo, HYPO. It's the
Mm.
opposite, right? Opposite of hyper. I would challenge you or your listeners, anybody, try to visualize something 30 seconds in super slow motion, one specific act. You know, it's very difficult and you have to train it. So it's a great control. So we do hyper for the exercise, for the work, for the hyper focus. We do hypo for maximum control
Mm.
because then they balance each other out. So now you have maximum control, but you can tap into that hyper anytime you want to. So pregame, I mean, it's based on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Pre-game. In-game is when you get off track. The biggest thing that if we want to use the word successful, people do is they recognize when they're off track and get back on track. That's what they do. They get back on track faster than the other person. So if you want to be more successful in any industry, however you define it, be the fastest one to get back on track.
Mm.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
pre-game, let's say that we're just focusing on hitting because obviously that's what
Yep.
where you're good at. You
Mhm.
focus on baseball players a lot.
Mhm.
Pre-game, it would be hyper visualization,
Yep.
going through hitting, just specifically successful hitting, or any specific part of hitting, or what would you how would you
It,
explain that?
it's based on what you want to accomplish, based on what you're trying to accomplish. So when you know these protocols, you don't have to use them. You use them for one. If you're using for maintenance or growth, that's it. So I'm going to maintain, which is nighttime, which is give me 2,000 reps in whatever sport you're playing, right? Or if you're shaking hands working on a political campaign, I don't know what you're doing. Like, give me 2,000 reps in, right? So that's some growth. Do it before I go to sleep. I sleep, I recover, I retain it better. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and during the day, before the game, I'm going to hyper visualize when I need to. 5 minutes, a couple sets of 30 seconds is all I need if I'm on track, right? And so once that's all we need, we don't need much. What you need to know is when you're off track. So that's why you need to know the 7 laws. So you need to know if I'm worried about this outcome, this external thought, boom, okay, mid game, I can get right back on track. So it's a real tool. It's a routine, but it's a tool more than anything. I don't have to be patient every day, but sometimes when I need that tool, I need to use it, right? So I don't use it as, yeah, is it great for routine? Is it great for growth? Absolutely. It's great to keep the tool refined for sure. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes at night, that's all you need. And it's only if you're off track. I don't like to go more than 2 days without doing something if it's important, but that's what we tell them. So it's up to you. Here's the tool. If you want to use it, this is how we use it, and this is how you can get it done. Now you can develop that tool as much as you want. We got 40-minute exercises that you can go 25 minutes, 5 minute long hypervisualizations. Because who am I to say you can go 10 minutes if you want? It's difficult,
Mhm.
but it's just a tool that you can refine, just like drumming. So if you want to be the best, you just put more time into it. My job is to introduce the world to the technology. That's my job. So what I used to do is I used to coach all the time. And this is straight up my belief on it. I went almost crazy trying to get people to do the things that I knew would work.
Mhm.
I went crazy doing it. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to show you the tool. I'm going to show you how it works. But I'm not going to come to your house and turn on your TV every day. Like I'll give you the TV and the remote. If you want to use it, then you use it. Does that make sense? It's kind of hard, but that's that's the way it should be. And so
Yeah.
here's the rules, and that's how you use it.
So I'm curious, obviously, like respecting the seven laws and understanding when you're off track. I've seen in the sports psychology world, some different techniques. The grabbing a hold of the bat and staring at it, and taking a deep breath. It's like you got a visual cue, and you got the mind calming down the body. Is there any sort of tactics you're using for helping people to not only maybe recognize they're on track and really owning the seven laws, but really being able to get on back on track very quickly? How does that happen?
Well, the main thing to get back on track quickly is just to recognize, and then you go right to the mind. So you go, so like if I do this right now, I just literally have to close my eyes for 10 seconds, and I can just move my brain into that state. So I don't have to do these big moves. Yeah, moves are important. If you have a move, if you have some kind of trigger that you like to do, sure, introduce it, but you don't need it. There's a lot of BS out there, man. Todd, there's a lot of bullshit out there. And I know there's psychology, and you can go depth and go deeper and deeper and deeper to all the psychology. I've done it all. I've read it all. Right. I've been to it all. But like just recognize that it's off, triggered your mind, put the thoughts right, and then get back to work. So I like the stare at the bat, the routines. These are all great. But players are boring as shit now too. So nobody has their own personality. That's what I think. So
So
I'll let
again,
them go.
when you say go into the mind, what do you really mean by that? Because again, I know a lot of people are going to be overthinking. They're going to be in some sort of thought loop, and so for me, maybe during overthinking, I might be going into my mind and replaying that same ego, trap, overthinking, external events. What are they? Are they visualizing just the specific activity
I'll
to
tell you
keep
what. I'll
themselves
tell you
back
what.
on
Let me,
track?
if you're willing, Todd. If you're willing, I'll do a little warm up exercise with you.
Yeah,
You willing
let's
to
do it.
play along
Let's
for
do
a
it.
second?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not worry. Let's not worry about our egos right now. I won't worry about mine. You won't worry about
Yeah,
yours.
no,
Deal?
not at all. Not at all.
Okay. So here's a little warm up exercise that I do here. And so what I want to do is this. It's a very elementary warm up exercise I do for the mind. Okay. So what I want you to do when I say so, I'm going to count for 30 seconds. What I want you to do is close your eyes when I say so, and I want you to visualize a driveway. Okay. This is called the bliss exercise.
Okay.
Excuse me. Visualize a driveway. On either side of the driveway is a fold out table. Got it?
Yeah.
On one of the tables is a stack of 100 bricks. Got it?
Okay.
Driveway, two tables. On one table, 100 bricks. When I say so, I just want you to visualize yourself grabbing off the pile, one brick at a time, stacking it on the other table, going back, get another brick, stack it on the other table, go back, get another brick, stack it on the other table. Got it?
Yep.
That's it. It's just a warm up exercise. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay. Got it.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Go. 15 seconds. And stop. Okay. Okay. Did you count by chance?
Yeah, it was like eight or nine.
Hey, okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. It's just a warm up exercise. Okay, this time we're going to do it 2 more times. Okay.
Yeah.
This time, what I want you to do is I want you to visualize yourself going as slow as you can. Okay.
Yeah.
So just 30 seconds as slow as you can. We're just kind of warming
Yeah.
up the brain. All right. Ready? Go. Fifteen seconds. And stop. Okay. Did you count?
Yeah. I did one, and I was making my way back over to the, the table.
One. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. One more time. Now, this time I want you to go as fast as you possibly can.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 seconds as fast as you possibly can. Ready? Go. 15 seconds. And stop. All right. How would you do?
36.
36. Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you feel your eyelids switching a little bit?
Yeah. I felt like I was going left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. Even the very first time, I felt
Yeah.
the second time my eyes were moving real slow, and then
Okay.
the first time it was like kind of like, okay, I'm going to this side, coming over here, going over here side, coming over here, and then yeah, when I was doing the super fast, it was like
Right.
it's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, okay. So I'm glad you felt that. What you did was complete. That's 99 point. I mean, 100% of everybody I've done has done some version of what you did right there for the exercise. I'm gonna explain what just happened. So you felt that move on the fast,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What you were feeling was those motor neurons. What you were feeling was it sending those signals, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're feeling. There's a signal going down. A muscle is moving. That's what was going on behind the scenes. You're shooting signals to your brain. Okay, so we'll get to that here in a second. So you did 8 first.
Mm-hmm.
You did
Yeah.
one on a slow, one and a
Yeah.
half or
Yeah.
something like that, and then you did 36, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So on the 8, that's your normal rate of visualization,
Yeah.
right? On the 1, I said go as slow as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You did one and a half, right?
Yeah.
Is that as slow as you possibly go, or could you perhaps go so slow that it's imperceptible?
Yeah. I definitely could have gone slower. I wasn't even sure how slow to really go. Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. Now, what about on the 36, as fast as you possibly can? Is that as fast as you could? Is that as fast as you could go?
No, I don't think it really was. I was like trying to imagine myself going really fast, but I wasn't like sure if I should be like imagining myself like flash fast, like you know, like
Right.
zoom in, So I felt like I could have. I was realizing probably about halfway through, I was like, I could probably go faster, but I don't really know if I
Right.
should. If the conditioning, right? I guess maybe shit.
That's that's the purpose of the exercise. It showed you how your mind's conditioned. That's one of the purposes, right? So you
Yeah,
said you had the internal dialogue. Am I going too fast? There's literally no rules. It's literally your mind. You can do whatever you want with it, and you're like, I'm not sure, because we have this thing as humans. We don't want to be too much outliers. We kind of want to be like with the group, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I love to share that with people because it shows, one, the conditioning of your mind, because it's just normal. It's America. It's how we've grown up.
yeah.
So a 5-year-old, I told you, a 4 or 5-year-old, this is the only people that get this, and here's what they do. How much you get on the fast? A million. They're like, "Oh, here we go. A million." Yeah. I'm like, what? Okay. Because they don't have the conditioning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
So
funny.
if we do it again, let's do it one more time.
Yeah,
And what I want you to do is we're going to do the hyper, and I want you to do the flash that you said you wanted to do,
yeah,
right? The cartoon, the thing that's literally not even close to possible for your body to physically do.
yeah,
Only your mind can do it. And invite you, if you start to move a little bit, just let it go. Just don't worry about what you look like or how you feel. If something happens, just let it go.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let's do it. 30 seconds. Ready? Go. And if you do more, just keep going. Take them back and put them on the other table. All right, stop. How's that?
I couldn't even count. Honestly, it was way too fast, and my eyes are twitching. I don't know if you can see it. I'm sure you could. That was
Yeah.
crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. I
Yeah,
love sharing that with people. So you obviously you couldn't count, right?
yeah, yeah. Way too
Too
fast to
fast.
count. Yeah,
So how fast was your brain working? Your mind working?
yeah. So fast. So fast.
Have you ever done that before?
No, no.
No. It's because we're conditioned that way. So it's my mission to let everybody know how much we condition our minds, whether it be sports or business or helping people or feeding the needy or whatever it is. We've put our minds in this box between, for you it's 1 and 36.
Mm,
But you could have gone so slow you still ain't moved.
yeah.
Your molecules could have been moving slow. Your skin might not even have moved on the super slow yet, right?
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so apply that to whatever goal that you have, that's your goal. And now the dreams that we really have deep inside of us start to become more real because we go, holy shit, I've been playing by somebody else's rules.
Jeez. No, that was crazy, and I know from some of the science like of EMDR and like hypnosis will like kind of force you to like look upwards and your eyes will kind of flutter like that and puts you into a different state. And so yeah, it was crazy to like be also realizing some of that might be happening at the same time. I'm sure you know some of that science as well. Like
Yeah.
that was mind boggling.
Yeah.
So you
Awesome.
have like several different exercises like that.
Yeah. So that's the awareness exercise. I call it the bliss exercise. So I like to share that with people of any, it doesn't have to be involved with high flows. I just love to share it with people to show them how conditioned we are. And I had to come up with a way to show people. And so I came up with that exercise because I couldn't explain it. Right. I was doing what you just went through, but I couldn't explain it. You've done stuff where you're like, I can't explain it, but it's just, and so I just love sharing that with people. But no, we have protocols for the Hyflos protocols are hypervisualization and hypovisualization protocols to really tune in and dial in the use of what you were just doing right there.
Jeez. Oh, that
Yeah.
was really cool. That was really cool. I'm definitely intrigued to learn more about that.
That's it.
So,
But here, I'll
what
leave
is?
you. Go ahead.
I'm curious. What's your goal with Hyflos? Where do you see it? Where do you see it going? What are you trying to accomplish with your business and the growth you see in the future?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the only business I do. So thankfully I don't have to, I can just really allocate all my time and I allocate my time to a lot of different things, but with high flows, I don't have to depend on it for it's the purpose of high flows is to take it around the world and show people what I just showed you, which is to open your mind and understand the tools that are available to access whatever it is you want to access. So in a perfect world, I partner with a global company. And I've talked to a few guys about it, partnering to help get the name out globally. One of my visions is going to Portugal and teaching people in football over there is what they call it, soccer
Mm-hmm.
teams. I like to make cool stories, so I want to take it around the world, take it to Western Europe, take it to Latin America, show them, and then if it makes a bunch of money, good. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I just love sharing it with people. And I love seeing the face. I love seeing the reaction that you just had right there when I shared the bliss exercise.
Yeah,
It's
I
one of my
love
favorite
that.
things to do.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So those are the main goals with it is to share and show people how they're conditioned and then how they can use this tool. Now, I talk to athletes because I have an athlete background. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to suck. I know what it feels like to play good, but it's applicable to everybody. If a person did that exercise before they sit down and do emails and they visualize in that flash mode, the hypervis mode of doing the emails, I guarantee you'll do them 25% faster. I guarantee it.
Mm,
It applies to everything mechanical because we've just limited how fast we do things, how fast we do tasks, how fast we make businesses happen, how fast we go from idea to creation or idea to implementation. We put
mm,
all these restrictions in between it. And nowadays you can go idea to execution in like 24 hours.
mm.
So I love to share that with people. If it makes a bunch of money, good. If not, and if I could just have enough to take care of the team and they get theirs, that's fine too. So those are my goals with it. But I just love the technology's fun. I love sharing it with people, and we'll see what happens.
I love that. I'm curious. I'm curious. Do you have any ideas as far as from a business standpoint, like having courses or mostly doing public speaking, having your own certification program, having other coaches out there teaching this stuff for you? Any sort of what's your
Yeah,
limitation
well,
there?
we talked about that. We talked about tiers of different coaches and allow them to share it with these different academies and I can only go so far. You know, I'm only one person, so having a team of people that could share it and implement it, that's certainly in the works and something that we're we're looking into for sure. Now there's courses and that stuff is available, but we're definitely looking into having a team of people certified to help share Hyflos around the at least around the country. I mean, maybe around the world. We'll see. So
Jeez, jeez.
yeah.
Was there anything else that you feel like you really kind of focus on with teaching athletes or in your work that we haven't really gotten to mention?
Man, there's so the main thing is choose what you want to do. That's what I just want to share with people. Just choose what you want to do. Realize how conditioned your brain is, and just go after it. I mean, we got one life. If you want to go after it, go after it. So that's that's really and that's the main story I teach is just. And I wouldn't even consider myself a teacher. I consider myself passionate about the technology. I'm passionate about seeing the face like I just saw on your face. I'm passionate about seeing the eyes flutter. I just
Yeah,
think it's the coolest thing ever. So I'm
it
like, this
is.
is the coolest thing ever. I got to share this with other people.
No, I like that a lot. And when you made it so practical too, talking about completing emails faster. And the big one is idea to implementation. You know, a lot of people are it's like, oh well, I gotta do this first and this first and this first. And it's probably gonna take me like 2 years. You know, there's that quote you hear everybody say, like take your 5 year goal and see if you can accomplish it in 6 months. You know, but
Yeah.
it's like I think you've kind of just given a more practical way of really kind of embodying that. And I guess I got another question for you. I'm curious. You know, you seem like a pretty guys in pretty good shape. Do you have any sort of advice on anybody that might be holding on to physical tension that's ruining their performance, or you know, kind of getting in the way of them performing well?
Physical tension. Um, what do you mean? Somebody that's overweight? Somebody that's
Like overstimulated, I would say. Like I just like my breath rate's really high. My palms are sweaty. I just you know yeah I can visualize certain things, but my body can't kind of calm down. I was just curious if you have
well,
studies of
that's a real problem. No, that's a great topic. I mean, we can talk about that for a long time. Now, routines. We talk about routines. When it comes to the physical body, I'm highly regimented as far as what I know works, what doesn't work, and uh, the main thing, like going back to that story of the 7 days of not talking, is you have to be disciplined in a way that I got to share. I'll share this with you. I heard this thing about discipline the other day, and it's fantastic. You got to be disciplined in a way that's going to benefit you. Okay, so think about. Oh, okay, we're gonna be. You got time because
yeah.
we're about to
Go
get into it
ahead. Go
here.
ahead.
Okay, okay. So um, we talked about being stimulated. You got to be disciplined. I'll get back to the stimulation thing. You got to be disciplined in a way that takes care of yourself. So what I mean is this: most of the time, we treat ourselves in a way that we would never treat our best friends. We would never treat our family. We treat ourselves worse. We literally treat ourselves worse than we treat everybody.
Yeah.
We talk shit to ourselves. We let ourselves eat stuff that we wouldn't let our friends eat. We 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 um, we put tasks and put pressure on ourselves that we would never put on somebody else. If somebody came to you and said, "Man, I'm so busy. Can I? You mind if I can do this thing tomorrow? Whatever the task is." You'd be like, "You know what? That's fine. I got it. You got this, and this. Take it easy. Get back to me tomorrow." But if but we beat ourselves up, we lose sleep, we toss and turn. So
Yeah.
almost everything in today's world, from today's world, we internalize that, and we treat ourselves worse than we treat other people. That's one thing to keep in mind. The second thing is this. I cannot remember who I heard say this, but he had a beautiful definition of discipline the other day. I think it might have been Chase Hughes or something. But he said discipline was, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's basically is the best definition I heard. It was doing in the present something that will benefit your future self. Okay, and treating your future self like you're the butler of your future self.
Mm.
Okay, so the way he said it was, hey, you put out your clothes at night, you have them folded for the next day, you put them out at night. You're the butler for your future self, because when you wake up the next day, you say, "Oh, my clothes are right here. This is great. This is fantastic," right? Or you put the food out in a certain way because when you walk back into the kitchen, you go, "Oh, my food is right here. Somebody made me food,"
Yeah.
right? But you made the food, right? So it's you put the phone down. You talk about overstimulation. You put the
Mhm.
phone down so you can wake up the next day and go, "Oh, I'm so refreshed. I'm so glad that I had that time. I'm so glad that that butler gave me that downtime because now I can think.
Mm.
Now I'm not worried about it," right?
Yep.
So treat yourself like you're the butler of your future self. Like go about your day like you're the butler of your future self. It's fantastic,
I
right?
love that. I love that. That's a really good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I heard it and that's the best definition I've heard. But on top of that, you can you talked about your body. And so and that's what I'm talking about here is the body. And you can put yourself in a state of mind of anything that you want or that you feel like you're missing. Like you can make yourself feel like you have the thing that you think you're missing. For instance, if a person's like, "Ah, if I had $20 million, I would be fantastic. I would if I could have 20," and somebody's like, "Well, just internalize it. Visualize it. You have $20 million." Like, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't have $20 million. I don't even know how to do that." But that's wrong. You can put yourself in a state of anything that you want, and I'll prove it to you. Have you ever had a friend, or maybe been yourself? Are you a fan of any sports teams or anything like that?
Not a particular team. No, let's just say the Seahawks because I'm from Washington.
Okay, let's just okay, or it doesn't have to be a game, but let's say a person is a fan of the Seahawks. Okay,
Mhm.
and now let's say this person is a fan of Seahawks. Let's say their wife just left them. They're broke. Um, they have tax issues. They just lost their job, and they're 50 pounds overweight, and they smoke.
Jeez.
I mean, let's say they're all those things, right? And for good reasons, they're a little bit depressed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're a little bit depressed in this moment, right? But they're watching the Seahawks, and his buddy's like, "Come watch the Seahawks." And he's like, "I don't want to go watch the Seahawks." He's like, "No, come watch the Seahawks with him." He's like, "I don't want to." "Okay, fine, I'll go watch the Seahawks." And they're watching the Seahawks play, and he's like, "Oh, fucking this and this and this," and he's thinking about all these problems that he has. And the game's going on, and it gets down to the fourth quarter, and the Seahawks are down by 3, and they're on the 40-yard line with 7 seconds left. They're on the 40-yard line going in with 7 seconds left, and they have the ball, and it's the last play of the game, and he's watching the game, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's got a chance." And the quarterback drops back for a pass, and all his friends are watching. He's kind of stands up and sees the quarterback, and the quarterback throws a pass, and the receiver gets tipped, and then another receiver dives and catches the ball for the Seahawks, and they win the game. And everybody's high fiving, even the fat, depressed, crazy out of guy. Yes, yes, yes. He's in that moment. He's hype, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because childlike enthusiasm. Childlike
Mhm.
enthusiasm is the key to happiness. At that moment, even with all those problems, he could put himself in the moment of childlike enthusiasm, right? So, what does that mean? That means we have an opportunity to be in those moments. We can put our bodies in those states. We can put our mind in those states. And there's no rules. I'll go back to this. There's no rules. You can act like a little kid in the middle of your living room, jumping up and down, praising God that you have $50 million. You're the hottest person in the world. You got the best family in the world. You got everything you want. And you know what? It's okay. Because in that moment, you can be hype. You can be excited. I would be. I'll do it. I mean, I'm not gonna do it right now, but I'm hyped. I'm hyped talking about it,
Yeah.
right? Why not do it? Why? Oh, because I'm supposed to act depressed? I'm supposed to be depressed? No. And then when you do that, it attracts other energy around you. And then other people go, man, that's pretty cool. I like to be around that kind of energy. And before you know it, all those things that you were visualizing and being in a part of and acting out, and you weren't worried about what other people thought, you weren't worried about the ego, all of a sudden it become real. And you go, man,
Mm.
that's, and then one day you look up and you go, one day you sit on the beach and a thought comes to your head and you end up calling it Hyflos because you just, right?
I love that. I love that, man. I've been a huge believer in that. Even a more practical, like, day to day thing. So, I talked to you before the episode about serving at the keg. There's a guy who had a table, and the lady, one of the signs of someone potentially not being a good table is being very picky about where they want to sit. The host tried to sit them at a table. They're like, no, I don't want to sit there. I want to go sit somewhere else. And he's like, oh, this lady's going to be tough. This lady's going to be this. And I was like, now the city is just very selective, and she's going to select you as a great server. She's going to decide that she really likes you. You're going to walk up and all these things. He's like, I guess that could exist. So his state was in this whole like, I'm not sure. It's probably going to be lame. This table's going to suck. And I'm just
Yep.
like, no, man, she's going to be great. She knows how to pick them. You know what I mean? And like, you're a good dude. Like, she's going to love you. And he's like, I guess that's a good way of thinking about it. And I was like, who cares if it's true or not? Because it feels better, right? And you're going to walk up to that table with better energy. Most likely that's going to be a better experience for that table as well as for you. And so it's just like a little tiny thing like that. Like I'm all about those little shifts you can make. That who cares if it's true or not? Like if it feels better, it's your life, right?
Man, I love that. No, that's excellent. That's a great example. That's a great story of putting it into action. Yeah, you're right. If it feels better, do it, right? Like
Exactly.
not
Who cares if
everything,
it's
but
true?
like when in the realms of what we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah, yes, 100%, 100%.
yeah,
So
what we're talking about, do it. Yeah.
so I want to wrap this up. I want you, if you would don't mind, to go back over just a little bit slower those 7 laws, because I know that was really powerful. I know, clear goal, engage. But I'm gonna let you do it in your own words, just so people can really like leave and take that with them, so that they're able to spot themselves when they're kind of getting in their own way of that zone. So will you go through those
Sure.
again real quick?
Yeah, sure. So I like to say check your centers. And we use centers as an acronym for that. So check your centers. Where's my center? Because that stemmed from coaches saying stay balanced. And I don't even know what stay balanced means because it's different for every person. And like I said, I don't like bad instructions. So yes, check your center. So C, clear goal. Have a clear goal. What is my clear goal? My clear goal right now is to talk to Todd on this podcast. That is my clear goal. Am I engaged in the goal? E, be engaged. Yes. The only thing I'm worried about right now is explaining these 7 centers to Todd on this podcast, right? I'm not worried about anything else. See, now my mind just drifted because I was like, I'm not worried about anything else. And then my mind goes to something else, right? So I
Yeah,
got to come right back.
yeah,
So engaged. Am I engaged? Neutral. Am I mad? Am I yelling? Am I angry? Those emotions, you want to be close to neutral emotions. If you see yourself getting angry in those types of emotions, it's going to be hard to be in the zone state that we talk about. T is tested. Are you doing a task? And it just means, are you doing a task? Are you not sitting on the couch? Is it some kind of task that's a physical task that you need to do? Okay. E is egoless, which is what we talked about. Is don't you can't worry about any outside opinions when you're to be in this zone state. You cannot worry about outside opinions. So if you're worried about your family, even it could be close people that you care about, but if you worried about them, it doesn't mean you can't play great. It just means you're not going to be in the zone state. It's because you can be focused on outside things that are out of your control. Okay, you can't control somebody's opinion of you.
yeah,
That's insane to think about that. And so if you're worried about it, you go crazy. First of all,
yeah.
R is responsive. It needs to be something that we can have immediate feedback. Immediate being real time feedback. So I can adjust right here, like I'm talking to you. If I need to move my microphone slightly, I can slightly move my microphone real time. I can see if if I could see you maybe leaning in, if I could see you not hearing me correctly, I could make a real time adjustment to that.
Yeah.
In sports, it's just a pitch, a defender, whatever that may be. So that's real time feedback. It's not something that's 6 months from now. And then self driven is S. So self-driven is something that you're doing because you want to do in that moment. Now, it doesn't mean you want to do it forever. It doesn't mean it's even your idea to get there. Maybe you're playing a sport or doing a business because you need money, or you need to support your family, or you need, well, you can support your family. You need money for sports as well. Maybe that's the reason that you're there. But in that moment, that zone state, it's because you want to do your best at that specific task right there in that moment. So you could be at a place you don't want to be, but in that moment, you're focused there because you want to do a good job there. So self-driven in that regard. So those are the 7. If you break those, you're not gonna be able to be in the flow state in the zone. So
That's powerful, man. That's a really good. And I like how acronyms makes it simple to memorize. Centers.
yeah, check your
Don't worry
centers.
about being balanced. Check your centers. I love it.
Yeah.
So where can they find you?
I'll tell you, just look up
Websites,
Hyflos official.
profiles.
Yeah. Hyflos official on social. I used to give speeches. I don't really give too many speeches anymore. I guess maybe if somebody twisted my arm, I might get back into it. But I really want Hyflos. I really want to share the bliss exercise like I shared it with you. I just want to help people become aware of this technology, the technology of just expanding the mind. And it's very affordable. We're not doing it for those reasons. So, we got a business to run, but go to Hyflos official on social, or hyflos.com. And then, we'll do whatever we can to help you out.
I love that. We might have to have a little mutual exchange then. You work on my mind a little bit. I'll twist your arm to get you back to speaking. All right, my friend. Know. It's been great to have you on the podcast, and thank you everyone for watching as well. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Go find Nervous. That's what I say. Go find Nervous.
Love it, love it. And keep an eye out for that book coming out soon then too. I might have to bring you back on and talk about that as well.
Let's do it. Great time, man.
All right, my friend. Thank you for being here.
And all right, thanks.
Take care, everybody.